There's one question that Christians just absolutely hate answering truthfully. It stumps them every time. I know when I was a Christian, I hated I hated this question. Hi, my name is Timmy Gibson, former fundamental evangelical Bible thumping, tongue talking, Holy Ghost rolling pastor. Did that for 30 years. 48 years I spent as an evangelical Christian. This is my channel. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Of course, cuss and discuss. As always, like, subscribe, share, do all the stuff. It really helps out. I do have a Patreon as well as a Facebook group called Timmy's Deconstruction Community. I'd love to have you in it, as long as you're not a Christian. All right, so what is this one question? What is this thing that Christians hate that just stumps every Christian? So there's a lot of ways to ask it, but basically, so you're telling me if I'm not a believer in Jesus, I'm going to hell? Or if I'm not Christian, I'm going to hell? If I've not accepted Jesus, I'm going to hell. Jesus is the only way. So if I'm Muslim, if I'm a Hindu, if I'm Buddhist, if I'm did I forget something? Jewish, right? Or spiritual, or I'm doomed to hell. Just from here on out, anytime you have any interactions with a Christian, ask that question. That question, when I say stumps, that's just a term. It's not that it really stumps you. The problem is Christians don't want to admit, they don't want to tell you what they believe because that makes them seem terrible, right? I mean, it just does. That when I was a Christian, that was one of the biggest questions, the most common question that I had posed to me all the time. And typically it was someone that was from another faith, you know, when I'd have a conversation with a Jewish person or a Hindu or whoever, a Buddhist. That was always the question. That was always part of the conversation. So you mean if I am Jewish and I serve Jehovah God and I read my scriptures and I'm faithful and honest and good and treat people well, you're telling me I'm going to go to hell and be tormented forever and ever and ever and ever? And the answer is, if they're an evangelical Christian, I can tell you what the answer is. Now, they're not going to mention it to you. They're going to hem-haw around and be like, well, you know, I'm not the judge. I don't know. Blah, 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 blah. It's not for me to decide. Blah, 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 blah. They'll do all the hem-hawing around. You got to just nail them down. Pardon the pun. You just got to be like, hey, because I'll just tell you, here's what they think. The answer is yes. If you've not accepted Jesus Christ into your heart, into your life, even, which is what an evangelical believes is the way to salvation. If you have not done that, you absolutely, this is what they think. Obviously, I'm atheist. I don't believe this anymore. I used to believe it. I don't believe it anymore. But absolutely 100%, they think you're going to go to hell. Doesn't matter if you're good, doesn't matter if you're kind, doesn't matter if you're sweet, faithful, fair, honest, like none of that stuff matters. And it doesn't even matter if you're religious. You got to be in their religion. You've got to be believing their particular belief, which is Jesus is the only way. There is no other way to God except through Jesus. That has been pounded and pounded and pounded and pounded into their head for as long as they've been a Christian. It's something that is preached every single Sunday, and it's talked about incessantly. Is that the right word? All the time. Listen, I spent 30 years as a pastor. That phrase in some form or fashion was something that I said every single time I was behind the pulpit. I said that in some way. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all the different ways you can say it. There's no way to the Father except through Christ. Right? It's like that's it. So that's the question that you got to pin down a Christian. They won't do it. They don't want to answer that question honestly because it makes them look shitty, because that is a shitty thing to believe. It's just it's not true. I mean, clearly that's not the truth, but that's what they believe to be true. Absolutely. Like they believe that's a capital T truth. Like that is an eternal truth for an evangelical Christian. Cuss and discuss down below. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff. Peace.